Hey YouTube! Not that any of my videos are, but this video is going to be particularly unscripted, just kind of speaking from the heart and from current situation. And I'm trying out a new piece of tech. I've got a wee mic that I got from a friend, so let me know if the sound quality is any better or worse than it was in my first video, as I'm using my own laptop to record this, unlike Scott's or my own phone. So today I just kind of wanted to talk about my presentation of mental illness in my life, because I know I've touched upon my diagnosis and what I deal with in my own life, but I realised that I hadn't really gone into detail about what that means for me, and because there's often quite a stigma and a lot of misconstrued information about what certain diagnosis of certain mental health conditions mean, I thought I'd maybe try and break down some of those stereotypes a bit and just kind of confront the issue that these umbrella terms can mean all sorts of things for you. I see a lot of rubbish and very, very harmful, damaging articles on the internet to the point of, oh, these are the signs that people are just making up their mental illness, or someone's exaggerating their mental illness if they say these things. And often the things that they'll suggest are, oh, their mental illness is different day to day. Mental illness is different from day to day. The thing is, it's a huge spectrum that can cause you to feel an enormous amount of ways and can present itself in many, many different symptoms and many different presentations, both emotionally and physiologically. So, trigger warning now, I'm going to talk about my own mental health, which means talking about anxiety and depression in quite great depth. So if that's not something that you feel up to sort of listening to today, feel free to tune out, and I'll hopefully see you next time. See you later, guys. And for the rest of you, I'm going to talk about my own sort of anxiety and depression today. At the moment, anxiety and depression is particularly prevalent in my life. I've taken a dip recently, and I've been spending the last few days, apart from the odd heading out to see some friends, in the house, and just kind of falling into a bit of a lull in life. Anxiety is particularly bad at the moment. For me, my anxiety can range anything from just feeling particularly anxious, getting a tight chest when I think about certain things. I know my triggers. They can start from confrontation with people, particularly when I feel there is unrest in my relationship with someone, seeing that person, talking to that person, or that the nature of that relationship and the anxiety-provoking nature of that relationship, and feeling that that person has a problem with me can cause me a great deal of anxiety. And if that drags out, the longer that anxiety drags out, and it just becomes more and more of an anxiety-provoking issue. And that stems back from when I had issues in my relationship with a close friend in high school, who then began to bully me and use that kind of behavioural thing that I had against me by giving me the silent treatment. So the silent treatment being another thing that really, really triggers my anxiety, and just kind of manipulating me and making me feel like it was all in my own head, which I still get to this day, and then questioning whether it's something I've done. I know I've touched on that before, but I overthink things a lot, and I don't always think that it's my fault. I think sometimes you do run into these manipulative people in your life, and those are the people that I definitely try to stay away from. So yeah. Other triggers, things at the moment, it's particularly things that are job related. Windows just popped up here. There we go. Yeah, things that are job related are particularly triggering for me at the moment, just because I have tried so hard for so long to achieve in a certain goal in my life, which is becoming an occupational therapist, and I'm still tackling that day in and day out and having mixed results. I have been in a good occupational therapy assistant job for quite some time now, and I've been really, really enjoying it, but just trying to take that further and getting back into the process of doing interviews, applications, meeting with panels, getting rejections is quite a blow to my self-esteem and my anxiety and depression. And even just opening my emails now or answering the phone and checking my voicemail messages especially, and then having to chase those up, that can be quite an anxiety-provoking thing for me. Financially, because I'm saving for quite a lot of things at the moment, checking my bank statements as well is extremely anxiety-provoking. So those are just some of my triggers that can flare up even just mild anxiety for me, and that can present itself in a lot of different ways. It can be quite immobilizing for me, a lot like my depression. It can make me want to just sort of avoid any of those routines or put off things that are going to be anxiety provoking for me, like searching for jobs. I'm quite good in that I have a small group of friends at the moment that are also looking for jobs. We've created a bit of a thing that we call Job Club, where we, you know, encourage each other and we get together and we look for jobs together. So that's kind of a strategy that I use to beat that particular trigger. Other things I just have to knuckle down and not put them off, basically, and just dive into them head on. But even that's where I talk about small victories being a massive thing. It's a small victory to be able to open up my emails some days and to check if I've heard back from any interviews, to check my voicemails and to get back in touch with any occupational therapists that I've been in touch with, anyone that I need to hear back from, interview-wise or application-wise or job-wise at the moment, because my contract's being extended. And any of that can be anxiety-provoking, and tackling any of those in a day can be extremely something to be proud of for me. Yeah, so some of the other ways that can present is, apart from avoiding the issues, could be quite physical for me. I'm going to talk about sort of physical presentation of anxiety now. If that's going to be triggering for you, that's okay, you don't have to watch. But I get quite bad eczema, or I always did when I was a child, and it kind of presents that I'll get flare-ups of this. You can't really see because of the poor quality of my laptop, but my neck and chest are completely clawed up at the moment, just because even subconsciously I'll do it at night, I'll do it during the day, and I have a lot of friends that notice and tell me to cut it out, which is good, but it's just so frustrating because it's there and I can feel it all the time. And under particular moments of stress, even during conversation with people about things like jobs, I'll find myself scratching and have no way to kind of stop that. Another way that this kind of presents, and this is a new fun one, is that I've been in my sleep grinding my teeth a lot, and I think I am going to have to see a dentist about maybe getting like a gum shield or something, because it's giving me really severe migraines, and just the fact that it is definitely a stress and anxiety thing. And it's definitely been around this time that I've been diving back into the job application interview world, being a massive trigger, that this has been a thing where I've been waking up with really sore teeth and then subsequently a really sore head, and then having to do my daily duties and my daily routine with that pain just causes me more anxiety. So that is kind of a vicious circle there, if you will. So I'm looking at trying to fix that at the moment, and I think I'm being quite productive in that regard, but at least I'm seeing what the issue is and then trying to tackle that. But it can be different for everyone. People can get migraines, people can get flushed, maybe a flushed face. It'll be very sort of visibly evident that they're having an anxiety attack. I'm quite lucky in that I've only had a few big panic attacks in my life where I've been hyperventilating and unable to calm down, almost on the point of tears, and almost unable to form full sentences and full words, just totally overtaken by the anxiety. And in those few occasions, I mean, once I was by myself, and it made it, my heart rate was just an unimaginable pace. And I remember not having got any sleep that night because it was at night and I was in my room and not wanting to bother my flatmates with it or anything. And then years later I had another bad one when I was seeing my current partner Scott, and he kind of talked me down on the phone and then came and saw me later on in the day, and I explained to him the massive presence that panic attacks do have in my life. Even if I don't have them that regularly, they are so draining and just so, they almost make me collapse from within when I do have them. So that's probably the more extreme presentation of my anxiety there. The other thing I have to deal with on a daily basis is depression. And at the moment, that's just really, really immobilizing for me. It's just incredibly draining, and it makes me want to not do fun things, like see my friends. Like, I need serious encouragement, and my strategy for almost dealing with it is just to be put on a positive face and be like, nope, we're going to do this. It's not even an issue. We can just do it. I'm not going to let myself fall back into that place because I know it's so hard to crawl back out of again, as many of you may know. So, for example, like, I saw someone that made me quite depressed in my life once the other day. We ran into them, and I just had to kind of glaze over it rather than properly go into it, because I know if I do, I mean, this has happened a few times in the last few weeks. The universe seems to really have it out for me, but or maybe just be testing me. But I've decided to not let it be an issue. I've moved past these places in my life, and if I regress back into those places, there is the worry that I will just get stuck in them. And I'm already dealing with the low place that is not being able to find the job that I want, and it leaving me in my flat just feeling like, well, what is my aim? I feel like, for lack of a better term, numb and just aimless at the moment. Apart from the last video I posted, I was able to be quite productive that day, and I did get out to the gym and stuff, but since then I really have just been in my flat. I went out to see friends yesterday, but I just don't feel the motivation, and I just feel sad and just unimaginably lost sometimes when I think about, how am I going to get out of this situation? How is this going to get better? And it comes and goes. I know that sounds quite extreme, and I don't want to worry anyone again watching these videos, but that is how depression is presenting for me at the moment. And it gets better and worse, and it has done throughout my life, but it has many different presentations for a person. There will be days where I will just cry and cry and cry. There will be days where I have really dark thoughts. Obviously, I've had thoughts of, again, suicide triggers here, but I've had thoughts of taking my life and everything. When other people talk to me about their similar experiences, I'm very happy to listen to them, and if I've said to them that I'm fine to do so on the day and to discuss such a topic, I'm being 100% honest, because I would always never put myself in a position where I was uncomfortable to talk about something, and you shouldn't either. Always be aware of your triggers and what you're comfortable discussing and not. But that's probably the furthest extreme, obviously. Just on those days where you feel totally useless and just totally so done with the world. But at the moment, I'd say it's not quite there. There are still good things. I just feel it's very hard to find them at the moment. And I guess that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying that anxiety and depression have many different faces. So yeah, that's today's video. I just wanted to kind of discuss a little bit about what anxiety and depression mean for me. I hope to do some more videos in the future, possibly with friends. I've had friends reach out since beginning this video series and ask if they can maybe talk a little bit about their own conditions, including borderline personality disorder and a bit of gender dysphoria chat as well. And I think those would be fantastic. I would be really honoured to have people on to speak about their experiences as well. Obviously mine, while deep within anxiety, depression and eating disorders and things, are quite extensive. I have very limited personal knowledge of other conditions, and it's always great to learn. That's another tip. If you're supporting friends, just be a great listener. Always be ready to take on board the information that they are giving you, because they will know that condition inside out. They have lived with it in their head, and they are battling it on a daily basis. So be a friend to that person. And love each other, be good to each other, and thanks very much for listening, guys. This has been a wee bit rambly, but I feel like it's quite enlightening and quite insightful just to hear from the horse's mouth, as it were. If you're not someone who struggles with anxiety or depression, then this hopefully has given you a little bit of an insight into what it can be like for a person, what could be potentially triggering, and how they may deal with those triggers, and how they may deal with these conditions when they are particularly prevalent in their lives. So I hope it's been useful, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks very much for listening.